It's the Wait a Minute Show.
Bruh, ain't that right, Lopan? Wait a minute. Book it. Really? Really?
The Wait a Minute Show with your host, Jolani J.B. Bodie.
What is up? What is up? What is up? What is up? It is your man, Jelani J.B. Bodie, and this is the Wait a Minute Show. Once again, to give you a sports fix. And we got a lot. I say it quite a bit, but we got a lot of activity that's going on today, was going on yesterday, and the day before, and even tomorrow. So this 4-day span that we have come across has been very sports fulfilling, right? We got this little thing that they call the NFL draft that started this past Thursday. We're going to talk about that. We got a Game 7 matchup that I am so excited about. And among other stuff, and America, get ready, because round 2 of the NBA playoffs is going to be kicking off, and there are a few fan bases or a couple fan bases that are ecstatic, to say the least. But I am your man, Jelani J.B. Bodie, host of this thing called The Wait a Minute Show, and over there, probably about the, I thought he was going to cut me off. Over there, in the cut, is my man, Lopan. Indeed. Yeah, so, Lopan, speak up. Speak into the mic. Indeed. There you go. So Lopan is here, and we're here to talk about what I was talking about. But hey, before I go any further, man, don't forget, man, on this channel that you're watching right now, make sure you are subscribed and make sure you turn on your notifications so you get notified every time a show is put out there for you. Indeed. Yeah, right on point, like Lopan. But let's really get into what we're here to talk about, and we're gonna talk about the draft in just a moment. But I want to talk about what transpired just last night, or actually this morning, because these jokers was playing, it seemed like, till about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, but which was a blowout by the LA Lakers. So Laker Nation is excited out there, but they went ahead, dismantled the Memphis Grizzlies, got them up out of there, won that series 4-1. Which is surprising, very surprising. Not that the Lakers won. I think more in the fashion of how they won. For the Grizzlies only to get one game, that was really surprising to me. But and we'll get into more about the Grizzlies later and kind of what happened. But this last game last night, look, I thought, being that LeBron had a horrible game, what was that? Game 4, game 5, whatever. What did they win? 4. I think they won 4-1 or something like that. But regardless, the previous game that LeBron had, he had a bad game. I thought he was really going to come out and just really, I said 40. I said I could see LeBron dropping 40. That didn't happen. He gave him 22, but he didn't need to drop 40 because you had D'Angelo Russell. He came out and he was a big factor in that 31 points. But then also you got contributions from AD. You got contributions from basically the whole team. Austin Reeves. You got contributions everywhere. And they made life horrible, for the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies couldn't, score at all. So they didn't need like super LeBron, to shut this out. But they played excellent team ball last night. So now that the Lakers, are moving on from the Grizzlies, going into this second round, the hype is going to get even hotter. It's even going to get even louder, America. So I'm hoping that you're ready, for it, because when they made that trade at the, near the trade deadline, I heard Lakers fans, and I've heard, some of the other people out there talk about the Lakers like, look, this is what we needed. This is what we're ready to go. We're ready to make these moves. And for the rest of the regular season, they had these little sputtering, moments. in the season. So I wasn't bought in. I do believe that they do have talent and they can be a problem, in the playoffs. But like some people are ready, they were like championship. Like, no, I'm not ready to put that tag on them. And it's not just because it's the Lakers. I just think across the board, as you've seen, the Bucks went down. They lost. As you see, the Memphis Grizzlies went down. These are, high seeded teams that lost, and it just confirms what I thought anyway, is that, these games are closer than a lot of people, think that they are. So I don't have the Lakers in the championship per se, but I do have them in the mix. And a big reason why I have them in the mix is what we saw from Anthony Davis. Didn't get it every game, but we saw what Anthony Davis can do. He was a big problem. I think he had the most blocks in the 6-game series, or tied for the most blocks in the 6-game series in playoffs. That's what they're going to need. And that's what I was talking about, along with Anthony staying healthy. He was able to stay healthy. He scared us that first game where he got hurt, but he toughed it out. He played, the rest of the games. He had some up and downs, but they're going to need Anthony Davis. If you can get that Anthony Davis, that's going to be just a problem down low, where he's going to be that rebounder. He's going to be that person that's going to deflect those shots. Yes, then the Lakers, you really can talk about some of the things that they can do. Now, also what they got, and this is going to have to consistently happen every series for them to win. It's not just going to be LeBron and AD. They Hachimura, Austin Reeves, D'Lo, other guys, Vanderbilt, they all stepped in some form or fashion. Schroeder, like everybody stepped in some form or fashion. That's going to have to continue, right? For them to get where they're trying to be, that's going to have to continue. They can't have any hiccups like the Grizzlies did. They can't have any hiccups. They can't have these laps, because all the teams that's going on to the second round, you can make one simple mistake and then you're at home, watching everybody else play. But Lakers took care of business. I'm not surprised that they won the series. I am surprised as far as like how in the fashion in which they beat the Memphis Grizzlies, especially this last game. It was just I was watching it. I'm like, in the first quarter they got 20 points, and I'm like, these brothers are on a pace to just only get 80, and they scored 85, right? So Lakers took care of business. Bear with us, or not us, but bear with them, America, because Laker fans are going to be out in droves talking about championship. I'm not ready to put them there yet. It's a lot of talent that's going on in the Western Conference, but they're in the mix. I will say that. So also what's been in the mix, the NFL draft, right? Yeah, I said this little thing called the NFL draft is on upon us. Indeed. Yeah, Lopan. And look, we always get surprises. We always, everybody has their thought process on, on who should have went where, why did this happen, did this team reach, and all of that, right? And we never really just find out until they start, playing the game. But this is what makes it fun, is that we can go ahead and try and play, Miss Cleo and predict the future. So I'm more of interested in the thought process of these teams and how that, have they changed the narrative? Have they changed maybe a culture? Maybe have they changed, the trajectory, of their team, whether it's going up or down, right? So I'm going to start where we started the draft, and that was the Carolina Panthers, right? They got their guy. I said it probably a week ago, and I believed it, 2 months ago, that Bryce Young was going to be, the number one overall pick. So they got their guy. Everybody coming up with this. Oh, the Panthers are not necessarily. That's the game that they play, ladies and gentlemen. They play it every year. They play it every freaking year. Indeed. Right. So they got their guy, and look. I think the biggest thing really was free agency with Bryce Young and what they're surrounding him with. You're adding people like Miles Sanders. You're adding people, although it's a veteran, but Adam Thielen is going to help, this squad. They added, Lopan, pull up the draft board to me so I can take a look at it. They pulled this kid, Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss. Remember that name. And the reason I'm going to say remember that name is because of who the source is, right? That's talking about this guy. Steve Smith just happened to be a Panther, and that's just kind of, lined up with what happened. But Steve Smith was talking about this guy well before he got drafted. And he's saying that he's going to be a problem. Steve Smith is the same person that told everybody about Cooper Kupp, but a lot of people didn't listen to him. So I think Miles Sanders, you got veteran wide receiver group that you're going to add there. You got a quarterback. They have a good defense. They're not just completely, horrible of a team. So a lot of this not's going to, just fall on Bryce Young to fix. So I like what the Carolina Panthers did early in that, because they traded, so they had to give up some draft capital on there. Another team that I like, surprisingly, was the Houston Texans, right? I was shocked for them to, now I'm not shocked that they went CJ Stroud, right? And CJ Stroud was the second quarterback I had, to go off the board. So that went according to plan. What I didn't have, because it was more of what were they going to do? Were they going to take, defense, or were they going to go and try and wait for their quarterback? They went and made a trade and got Will Anderson, picked up the third pick. So you got the second and the third overall pick. I like that move with Houston. They added their quarterback. They got their defensive leader that they're going to be looking for on the other side. And here's the other thing about it. I was not big on D'Amico Ryans going to Houston, because I just felt that it was just so much drama going on in Houston. But what he has done since he's been there has calmed a lot of that down. And if you look at Houston, as far as like what they did last year, although their record doesn't show it, they were in a lot of games. They're in a lot of games, and they should be getting John Mechie back this season, who missed out on last season because he was diagnosed, I think, with some. I don't know the exact what it was, but I think it was some form of cancer, possibly, but it was something that kept him out all year. So we expect him to be back. You got Damian Pierce at the running back position, who looks like he's going to be real deal. Like I said, on that defensive side, they were pretty, they weren't bad at all. So maybe what they were just looking for was a guy, and Lovie Smith. Don't get me wrong, Lovie Smith was good there. I just think maybe Lovie Smith and management wasn't working out, not necessarily Lovie Smith and the players. So you got a guy that's going to work with management, and then the players are going to probably fall in love with him, and the fan base is going to fall in love with him too. So it's I like what Houston did early, what they did. What else we got? Philadelphia. Jeez, it's like, I said this before, I'll say it again. Kids, listen to me. If you have any aspirations of playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, just go to the University of Georgia, right? Just go to the University of Georgia. Lopan, pull it up. They got Jalen Carter. They got Nolan Smith. Hurry up, Lopan. I'm looking. So who else did they get? Tyler Steen, he went to Alabama, but Sidney Brown, DB from Illinois, and the draft is going on right now if you're watching this. It's Keely Ringo, which is another Georgia player, cornerback out of Georgia. So if you want to go and play for the Philadelphia Eagles, make sure you just stop by Athens, Georgia, and play for the Bulldogs. You got a good shot on it. But in seriousness, they have added, you got to think about what they added before. While I'm talking about Georgia, you got Nakobe Dean, who's going to be starting, which was a first round expectation, but due to some things that happened, he went in the third round. So you got a first round talent that you got in the third round. You got Jordan Davis last year. Now you got Jalen Carter. Now you got Nolan Smith. So you got edge rushers, you got interior defensive linemen, you got the linebacker. Like, Philadelphia is already in a good spot, and they did a really good job of replacing what they had there, and so guys are going to be asked to step up. So I like what Philadelphia has done, and you took care of Jalen, got his deal done. Who else we got? My Detroit Lions, right? So I was surprised that they took Gibbs at the 12th spot, and I was really surprised that they traded back. Let me just say that they traded back from 6 to 12, and the biggest part about that, I really thought they traded back because Seattle worked us over again because, and I go back, Seattle, they beat the Rams, so that messed up the draft spot. We would have had 5 or whatever, but whatever. But they took Devin Witherspoon, right? Devin Witherspoon, I think that was really who the Lions really wanted at 5 overall, or 6 overall. They were hoping that he would land to him. So then when he didn't, they moved back to 12. Now, they took Gibbs. Now, I'm surprised that they just didn't take, if running back was the position, I'm surprised they just didn't take Bijan Robinson, at the 6th spot, because he obviously went 8 to Atlanta. But Jahmyr Gibbs, don't get me wrong, this is I would say that looking at what the Lions did, adding to your offense, I would have preferred to go edge rusher. I thought they was gonna go Jalen Carter, someone to try and team up with Aiden Hutchinson to put pressure up the middle and on the edges. So they didn't do that. They did get a linebacker, Jack Campbell, out of Iowa. I think he was the I can't remember. It's not Ditka. It's the linebacker. It's gonna kill me. But he best linebacker award in college football for Jack Campbell. They got their replacement to T.J. Hockenson and Sam Laporta, so he was rated the second best tight end. So they added some pieces to what they were missing or what they traded away. Now they focused on the defensive side later on. What they got this kid Brian Branch out of Alabama. So they did go defense later on in the draft. So I think the Lions, I think they did okay. For what they did. So it's a lot of teams out there that made moves. Some teams didn't make moves that was favorable to fans, but we all, we all go into it, and again, we find out once when they start playing. But right now, draft is going on. We got 4 through 7 that's going to finish up today. So this is where you start finding those gems. This is where you start finding hopefully you can find your Brock Purdy. Hopefully you can find a guy and get lucky enough and strike oil, a Tom Brady or something like that, or you get a linebacker or somebody that dropped in the draft. So stay tuned because they have they have plans, right? We'll move on from the draft, and then let's get back. What are we getting back into? Nobody's over there. It happened, ladies and gentlemen. I said I could see this happening. I was hoping that it would happen, and it did happen. We got a game 7 on our hands. Warriors versus Kings. And to me, I felt, and I said this from the beginning, before the playoffs even started, this was going to be the best round 1 matchup, which I was like, man, it would have been nice to maybe get this, round 2 or even the Western Conference Finals, but seedings are seedings. And that's how it works out. But we got a game 7. And we've got both teams have won at home. Both teams have lost at home. So it's no, at this point, it's no advantage. Forget the regular season. Forget the Warriors road, woes and all that stuff to a certain degree. But forget all of that. Because none of that matters now, because it's game 7. This is for all the marbles. It doesn't matter. And I told y'all, and I told other folks out there, that you need to pay attention to these Sacramento Kings. And this last game that De'Aaron Fox last night, this dude is like, you look at Steph and he hit shots and you just like, how did he do that? And then De'Aaron would come right back down. It's just like, how did he do that? Malik Monk, I can go on and on and on. Wiggins, Clay, you know all the names. So this is going to really come down to me, who wins this game, because I got it evenly matched, right? But it can't end in a tie. So somebody has to win, and it has to be a certain reason why that they win. I don't think that both of these teams. I think they'll start a little bit slow in maybe the first 4 or 5 minutes, and then it'll heat up like we've seen in the previous matchups. But I'm gonna lean, and I'm gonna stick with the champs. I'm gonna say the Golden State Warriors wins this, and it's really based off of experience, right? Really based off of experience. Sacramento is a young team. I think there will be some small, simple, late mistakes that will happen for them that they haven't experienced or haven't, been through in this situation, where a team that has been battle tested now, Sacramento could easily win this game. Don't get me wrong. I have to pick one. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going to go with the Warriors and say the reason that they win, because they're going on the road. Like I said, that has been their bugaboo, so they got to worry about that. But they're in their mind as a champion, they're not thinking about that right now. The only thing that's going to, prevail them past the Sacramento Kings, I believe, is just that experience, right? And it's so refreshing to see, Sacramento in this spot, because regardless of what, even if they win and they beat the Warriors, our expectations and of the Kings is going to be even higher. And next year is going to be even better. I shouldn't even be talking about next year, but it's because I love this matchup. They have not disappointed at all each game that this matchup is going on. But I got to pick one, so I'm gonna go with the Warriors and say they eke it out. I say they win by 5 points, and eke out the win. So, man, the Kings have had a great season. Lopan getting chips or something like that, but they have had a really good season. Who didn't have? Well, I wouldn't say they had a great season, just didn't end at the way that they wanted, was the Memphis Grizzlies. So we just talked about them losing to the LA Lakers. So it's more like kind of what went wrong, kind of where did this thing fall off the tracks, if you will. Now Ja Morant has came out and he spoke about some of his stuff that played a part in it, decision making and everything. But it's not just Ja, right? They ran into a team that was better than them. They ran into a team that executed better than them. And this is maybe they play this series 5 times and maybe the Grizzlies win 3 of them out of that 5. But you can't have, what I saw is that you can't have these droughts. Can't have a drought because they make you pay in the playoffs. Injuries did hurt them because Steven Adams wasn't into that game. They didn't have Kennard this last game. So injuries do play a part, but I mean they don't stop. You got to keep playing the game. So it is what it is what it is. But I don't think they executed. I think at times they kind of came out shooting threes too much and depending on that. I mean, I've seen cases where they're on a 3-1 break and they would rather shoot the 3 than take the 2. So this has been a learning experience for the Grizzlies because they took a step back to a certain degree. They finished second overall in the Western Conference, which is great, but you didn't have that success that you were looking for or expected in the playoffs. They were not expecting to be eliminated in the first round. So that's why I say you take a little bit of a step back. I think this will refocus them. I think this will definitely motivate them, energize them going into next season. I think this will put them in a mind frame where it's like, yeah, we physically got the talent, but we mentally got to have the talent, and it's not just it's not just in the game. It's when you leave, that court, and what you're doing after that. It'll be this off season. What is everybody doing to prepare themselves for next season? So with this experience, you gain knowledge, from it. So my hope is that they're going to gain some knowledge going into it, because I just mentioned the Kings. The Kings aren't going anywhere, right? At this point, I think the Warriors got maybe another year or two that you can, put them in the mix. Phoenix is going to be in the mix. LA is going to be in the mix. Denver is going to be in the mix. Depending on what free agency happens, maybe Dallas or, one of these other teams in the Western Conference is in the mix. So you got a small window. And you got to do something with it sooner than later, very quickly. So the Grizzlies, they learned from it. It's not a failure. It's not a failure. I'm using Giannis words. It's not a failure, but a steps in success. I'm still in that, from Giannis. Lopan, what are you doing?
Embiid.
No, that's not what I asked you, but regardless. Last thing we're going to talk about is we got some other playoff games that's going to be going on. We got obviously Knicks and Heat. That's going to be, bananas coming up. New York fans are going to be, all riled up. We got Boston and Philadelphia though as well, which Boston, they beat Atlanta. Atlanta gave, I thought Atlanta had a chance to maybe push this to 7 games, but they didn't. So, and I think it was more with Boston depth. I've talked about Boston's depth and how that's been able to help them, and I think that helped them in this. But going into this matchup is a little bit different, right? So going against, the superstar, if you will, Trae Young, his game is different than the superstar that they're going to be seeing now in Joel Embiid. Now, how is that knee going to hold up for Joel Embiid? That's the the biggest thing. If he can play all right, I think that forms a different problem for them, because Trae was not the inside presence. He could get to, could get to the basket, but as far as like just getting your bigs in trouble or getting extending a rebound, that wasn't Trae's game. That's not Trae's game. So, but Joel Embiid can hit threes. Joel Embiid will probably more than likely be named the MVP. So that's the different level. And I talked about motivation before. They haven't had the success that they've been looking for, so they really are motivated. James Harden is there. Maxey is stepping up. Can Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers match the Boston Celtics depth, right? I do think Joel Embiid is going to pose a problem, for them. It's not going to be as easy operating. How Boston was getting to the bucket on Atlanta, that's not going to happen against Philadelphia if Joel Embiid is healthy, right? Between these two, I guess I got to make a pick, right?
Embiid.
Between these two, I'm gonna stick with. I said Boston's gonna get back to the finals, so I'm gonna say Boston wins this in 6 games against the Philadelphia 76ers. So there you have it. There you have it. Now, the Big L Award.
And you are one pathetic loser.
Loser.
Let's go.
We're gonna see the best collection of losers this park's seen for many a year.
You made me feel like a loser. Loser.
La loser.
Le who? The her.
So, the Big L Award. Let me do it this way, right? And actually, I know we're live right now, but it's okay. It's okay, right? But the Big L Award, right? This is normally I give this out to someone that does loserous things, right? Like I said, I've given it to myself. I've given it to other people, kids, animals, all that stuff. But it's not the same Big L Award this time, right? Not this time. And here's why. It's not a loser's activity. It's not a loser's ways. It was just the attempt of covering up, right? That was it. That was the part. And so I talked about Detroit and the moves that they made, and they took this kid Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama with the 12th overall pick, right? So it's like, when that happened, you like, well, dang, because they just signed David Montgomery, Jamal Williams, he went to NO, shouts out to Jay Will, and you got DeAndre Swift and you got Craig Reynolds, right? So it's just like, why go with a running back that early? Because somebody's on the clock, right? And unfortunately, looking at it, that more than likely is DeAndre, right? And general manager Brad Holmes for the Detroit Lions, you know you got to speak about it. You know you got to speak about it. Because they're going to say, look, what's going on? You took this guy 12 overall. So it wasn't that he took Gibbs or anything like that. It was just in the manner in which Brad was trying to say, but not say, like, well, Jahmyr Gibbs is in his own, his own lane and everything. And here's where I knew. I said, you know what, DeAndre, just don't buy nothing. Don't buy nothing permanent right now at all in Detroit. Because when he said, well, DeAndre is still under contract, DeAndre is on this roster, that is GM talk for, we have already thrown out there and are taking calls for trading DeAndre Swift. Now, are they going to trade him? I don't know. Maybe. Do I think they're trying to trade him? Yes. But will they trade him? I don't know. Because teams know, you're trying to trade. So maybe they don't offer what Detroit wants, for him. But just the way that Brad Holmes tried to make it seem as if, like, no, Brad. Yeah, DeAndre's going to be here. Yeah. No, that is not. So the attempt, I'm just like, oh, man. And if DeAndre was watching that or whatever, I'm hoping he wasn't watching that. It's just like, come on, man. Come on, man. We know what y'all doing. This the business. This the business. This the business side, right? Business side of this stuff. So not a loser, not losers. It's just the way, the wording that you use. I got to give it out. That's all I'm saying. I got to give it out. Lopan, hit him with the music. Oh, you don't want to do it? Yeah, I know. I don't want to do it either, but you got to do it, Lopan. You got to do it.
See? Another loser.
Indeed.
I'm not saying indeed as well, because I don't agree with it. It was just funny. It was just funny how Brad was trying to, DeAndre is under contract. DeAndre is, yeah. He's got Jahmyr got his own lane. Like, okay. We know what that means. So, DeAndre, don't buy nothing. Don't go buy nothing permanent in Detroit. I'm hoping they can keep all three. Do you know how dynamic my Lions would be with all three? So I'm hoping they can keep all three guys, but we'll see. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We got NBA playoffs. We got a game 7. We got the rest of the draft finishing up. Nuggets and Suns, they're going to be kicking it off. So we're getting into round 2. And everybody, try to do your best. Do your best dealing with these Knicks and Lakers fans, because you know they're going to be out there in the streets. Everybody going to be wearing their stuff. So just bear with them, man. It's been a second. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, man. I'll let y'all make sure, like, subscribe, turn on those notifications for the channel, man. Catch all the episodes. So for your man, Jelani JB Bodie, host of this thing called The Wait a Minute Show, I'm going to holler at y'all later. 2 things as always. Stay positive and push forward. and I'll holler at you later. Lopan, let's go.